Well, hey, Hope Fellowship. My name is Rob. I am the Connections Pastor at our McKinney campus. And I'm so glad to be with you guys today. I hope you're enjoying these Devos as much as I am. They're just such a great breath of fresh air. Well, my family and I have been attending Hope Fellowship for coming up on 6 years now. I've been on staff for coming up on 2 years. We have 4 kids, ages 10 to 15, and it's fun right now. Homeschooling is very interesting. They're all at different places, one in lower school, 2 in middle school, and 1 in high school, and it's a challenge. My wife's an absolute rock star with all of that. And I help as I can, but it's a challenge. But what this time and season has done for me has helped me with a great deal of perspective. For my kids, when they were little, if ever they were having a little perspective challenge or a little bit of entitlement or whatever, we would always say, "Do I need to go get the Africa book?" And what that was referring to was a book that was made when from one of our trips to Africa doing some missions work. And there inside of it, there's a ton of pictures of kids and families with all of their challenges, with shelter, food, clothing, you name it. And we would flip through that book and we'd tell the stories of these kids that we met and the challenges they faced and how the challenges my kids were facing just paled in comparison. So that was a helpful tool in the early days for their perspective. Nowadays, they're a little bit better about it. And during this quarantine time, it still has needed those doses of perspective, for myself included, just because it's so challenging. It reminds me of when River, my oldest son, was 18 months old. He had to have open heart surgery. And it was everything you can imagine. It was horrifying, terrifying, scary, all of those things. But we still had this peace that God was in control through the whole thing. And the day of the surgery, River and I were hanging out in the little playroom, getting, before surgery, and just had a bunch of toys and stuff, and we're playing around. And there was another couple in there. There was a mom and her daughter, and the mom was just visibly sad, visibly tortured by what was to come for her daughter's surgery. And I went over and I talked to her and asked her how she was, and she said that her daughter was having a blood transfusion and was, she was just absolutely terrified about the whole thing, and talked that through with me, and then she asked about my son and what he was having done, and I said, well, he's having open heart surgery, and explained all of that, and her countenance visibly changed. And when I saw that, I said, well, we just have a faith that God is in control and it's going to be fine. And we prayed about it and we prayed for each other, and then we split and went on our way. And River's fine. He's totally great now, completely healthy and whole. And that surgery was great. But what it did for me is it reminded me that sometimes people and their challenges and their stresses and the things that they're dealing with, they might not. A little bit of perspective just goes a long way. And for me, and during this time, and I get so sucked into what's going on in my life, and then I see on the news of families that are actually battling coronavirus or whatever, job loss and the things that they're dealing with. And my situation just pales in comparison. And I think we just do that, though. We get wrapped up into our own issues, rightfully so, but we forget to add in that little dose of perspective. And in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 8, it says, "We are pressed on every side by troubles, but we are not crushed. We are perplexed, but not driven to despair. We are hunted down, but never abandoned by God. We get knocked down, but we are not destroyed. Through suffering, our bodies continue to share in the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be seen in our bodies." And then down in verse 16, it says, "That is why we never give up. Though our bodies are dying, our spirits are being renewed every day." And I love that little dose of perspective of, yes, we're gonna face tough times right now. We're going to maybe, we don't even know the long-term effects of some of this, or, maybe you're dealing with some of the struggles of all of this. We don't know necessarily what tomorrow holds, but what we do know is that God hasn't left us. We're not going to be destroyed by this. We're not going to be crushed by this. And through it all, as we allow God to work in us, He is going to be glorified in this. So as you go through today, this week, I hope this encourages you that as we start looking at the negative things that are going on, that dose of perspective that God is in control, that God is not going to leave us during this time. I hope that'll give you comfort and peace as it does for me every day, that I have to remember that and put that on so that He can be glorified. Well, have a great week and be blessed.